we've got a couple of things going on with class today. One is we're going to be talking about turmeric, which is an amazing medicinal rhizome tuber plant, and that's what your handout is on. And the other thing that we're going to be talking about is, who can tell me what this is, eh?
Pineapple top.
It's pineapple top. Pineapple top, and there's a difference between these two if you look at them. And one was placed and stored and saved correctly. The other was not. So, and you see the difference, right? This one's all moldy on the bottom because it was left to gather moisture, and there's a good chance that even if you planted this one, it may not grow so well, because that's one of the big distracting factors for pineapple, is that if they get planted too quickly, or if they get placed in a spot where they're not allowed to get free airflow, then mold sets in. And when mold sets in, you got an opportunity for the actual growth of the plant to be stunted, or maybe even destroyed, changed in some fashion or form. You can also tell before you plant the pineapple top by squeezing the pineapple top itself. And look at that. Now see, there we go. That was perfect. That's a perfect example of why this pineapple top probably won't grow very well. I mean, the part that was going to grow just rotted and fell off because it got moldy. So
There's bugs in it.
there's bugs in it. That's right. This is compost now. So the key is, when you pull off a pineapple top, whether it's got any of the meat left on the bottom or not, it's best to lay it on its side in an area where it's going to get free-flowing air, lots of airflow, and it's best if it's a dry area, so that that wound there, or where that got broken off from the plant, is allowed to skin over. And that skin over protects that top then from rotting. Protects the top from getting any sort of a problem that may creep up into this stem and prevent it from growing and producing the way it was meant to, like any other healthy pineapple top would. So the mistake a lot of people make is they'll try and stick the pineapple top in water, or they'll just stick it right in the ground right away. And that's not so bad if you've got good drainage. But if you're sticking this pineapple top in a spot where it's going to be holding water, there's a good chance you'll end up with one like this that's rotted and won't grow for you. Even if this one did grow, it would take a long time to fruit, and the fruit would probably be inferior to something that came from actually skinned over pineapple top going on. So we're going to talk about pineapple a little bit, and turmeric a lot. Who knows anything about turmeric? Anything at all?
It's in the ginger family?
It is. It absolutely is in the ginger family. And it's a rhizome, which means that it grows underground, and it grows in the form of these fingers and nodes. And the handout that I gave you has a picture on the front. This photo on the front is typical to the turmeric plant that you see above the ground. And they're similar to a lot of the other ginger plants in that ginger has about an 8 to 9 month gestation period from the time you plant it to the time you harvest. Anywhere from 8 to 10 months, you've got some mature rhizomes down underneath, and they can be harvested. Those rhizomes that you see on the next page, this drawing that you see, is typical of what the turmeric looks like. And you have to be very gentle when you're taking these apart, bringing the rhizomes out of the ground and taking those apart. It's important to try and keep the rhizomes intact until you're going to use them, because anytime you open up the rhizome, break it apart, or cut it, it releases some of the vitality that's in there. The medicinal qualities of turmeric are wonderful. They're used for, of course, in Thai cooking. It's used as a temporary colorant for tapa cloth. And if you've ever handled turmeric, you notice that it turns your hands yellow right away.
Everything, your tongue, your hands.
Everything turns yellow. And but that's okay, because it's temporary. It's not a permanent dye. Okay, so it was used by the ancient Hawaiians in a lot of different ways medicinally. There's some interesting information in this book, Plants in the Hawaiian Culture. And I have another book about medicinal plants, and turmeric is mentioned in that one also. And I would also like to point out, and these are wonderful books to have if you're interested in the plants of Hawaii. Permaculture, book 1, 2, and 3. And these are put together by Dr. Hunter Bayer and Dr. Franklin Martin. And Dr. Hunter Bayer, she's a female, or D. Hunter Bayer, I should say, lives up in Volcano, and she does talks. And I've actually gotten in touch with her, and we're looking for a chance to schedule for her to come down and talk about some specific plants here, and put a room full of people together so that we can get this information out there. Permaculture 1, table of dyes and dye plants in the plants in Hawaiian culture, as a tapa dye cloth, but it's a temporary dye. And then it's talked about when we get into medicinal herbs and medicine. Turmeric was used as an extract made by squeezing the sap from the macerated flesh from underground stem of the Olena. And it's used for earaches. You can stuff a bunch in your ear. Formulation also containing the rhizomes of shampoo ginger. The extract of Olena was used for growths in the nose. And Olena, pounded until soft and baked, was inserted into the nostril as a katra. So if you had, problems in your nostrils, infections in your nostrils, you could use that as a suppository. A drink made from Olena and the barks of mountain apple and koa plus various other plants was used to clean the blood. So turmeric is also known as a blood cleanser. It works a lot like some of the other astringent quality plants in that it helps thin the blood, and because it thins the blood, then that blood flows more freely through your liver and through the kidneys, and it's much more likely for those any of the toxins that are in the blood to be cleaned out. An old term used to designate the cure of a variety of illnesses or malice. A drink made from the underground stems of Olena alone was also used for bleeding ulcers. So you could drink that juice, and it would help stem any ulcers that you might have had, or other problems that you have in your digestive system. So as far as turmeric goes, there's a couple of things to remember. Because it's a rhizome, we need to make sure that we've got well-drained soil. But at the same time, the soil needs to be loose so that it can grow freely and it doesn't get, mutated or forced to grow unnaturally because there's rocks or too much moisture in the soil. Too much moisture in the soil can also contribute to nematodes and other rot problems that could cause that rhizome not to develop fully to its potential. You see this dent here?
Yeah.
That's probably because it grew around a rock.
Okay.
But if it was nematodes, it would be all kind of moldy and rotty there,
Oh, right.
like it had worms or something. And that you take those fingers or the individual pieces of turmeric. These, as shown in this picture here, we would end up breaking off these individual fingers of turmeric and saving those for planting, and then we could use this mother or the core rhizome as the most potent piece to put in a meal or use that for medicinal purposes. Turmeric also works to help cure problems like cold sores. It can be used as a treatment for infections. If you have trouble with an infectious bite or something on your body that's not healing real well, you can use the turmeric to help drive any of that infection out. It likes the tropical climate. It likes things warm. It likes plenty of water. But as I mentioned before, it needs lots of drainage. So whenever we plant turmeric, it's best to plant that on a little bit of a mound. Or if you're planting it in soil that has trouble draining, you want to make sure that that soil is stirred up really good so that it doesn't hold water too long, but the turmeric does like to stay wet, and you don't want it to grow in too dry of conditions because it stunts the growth of the plant. However, turmeric that's grown in a dry climate towards the end of its life cycle tends to be more potent and more nutritious than turmeric that's actually gotten full water all the way up until the end of its growth cycle. So it actually works well for the turmeric to be planted early enough in the year so that by the end of summer the ground is nice and dry, and as winter comes on and the rain is just beginning, the leaves will die back and we can get that turmeric out of the ground, and it's really healthy, vital stuff, okay, because it's gone through that kind of a dry spell. And we've got a couple of other mentions in here. If we look down as far as the culture and organic culture, any idea at all? Understory crops?
Grow 'em under the trees.
Yeah, that's it. You grow them under the trees. So it does well near bushes. It does well near taller plants that might give it partial shade. And it does a great job of actually contributing to the soil nutrition of those plants that are going to be ending up as the overstory crop, or the plants that grow taller than the turmeric. Turmeric will generally grow about anywhere from 2 to 4 feet tall, depending upon how long it's been in the ground. And propagation is by rhizomes, at least, or bits at least 1.5 inches long, and 1 or 2 buds that are showing on that rhizome. So you want to see a couple of spots that are actually sprouting off of the rhizome. Okay. Some other things to consider: pineapple as animal feed. This might interest you, Steve. Pressed pulp after juice extraction can serve as livestock feed. So if you're just getting the juice out of the pineapple, then whatever's left a lot of times can be eaten, consumed by goats, cows, horses will eat it, even rabbits.
And mahalo nui loa. Thanks for joining us once again for Hawaiian Sanctuary's Permaculture. And live, learn, love, and laugh. Aloha.